There's an old football saying that the backup quarterback is the most popular man in town. And right about now, Desmond Ridder is popping in ATL. The third-round pick from the Falcons has not played a down of regular season football yet, but the Falcons fans seem to believe he could be the answer to all of their woes. They are currently starting Marcus Mariota, the former Oregon Duck and number 2 overall pick by the Tennessee Titans. He was benched by the Titans in 2019 for Ryan Tannehill and then spent like 2 years backing up Derek Carr with the Raiders. All right, now since going to the Falcons, Mariota's time has been pretty if you know what I'm saying, if you ask me. Now, I know he just won NFC Offensive Player of the Week honors a couple weeks ago, but it's obvious that Arthur Smith isn't exactly leaning on his quarterback to do much. They are possibly winning, they possibly winning some games in spite of him. It is what it is. All right, now let's take a look at the numbers. The most attempts Mariota has taken this year is 33, which is pretty average for today's NFL, right? But it was in game 1. And since then, Arthur Smith has pretty much decreased his number of touches in each game. And that's because it became quickly and painfully obvious that the more Mariota has to do, the more mistakes he's going to make. Now, could the Falcons be more explosive and could Mariota hit some targets? Yes. But is it worth it if he's going to turn the ball over 2 or 3 times a game? Negative. And honestly, it gets worse than that because the one thing that Mariota is above average at is using his feet. But he can't hold on to the ball, so Coach Smith has also decreased his carries. And if Marcus Mariota could be like a Lamar Jackson prototype, kind of obviously he's not as talented as Lamar, but if he could throw for 200 yards a game and run for 60, 75 yards and a couple scores, he could be a pretty good, decent quarterback, at least middle of the pack. All right, now let's take a look at Mariota's stats for week 1. I think this is personally his best game. I know he had the game where he won Offensive Player of the Week, but he only threw the ball 13 times, and Arthur Smith was pretty much keeping the ball out of his hands. Let's just be honest. So this game, he kind of let him cook a little bit. He threw the ball 33 times for 215 yards, only a 6.5 yards average, which is not great for NFL these days, but it's cool. 79 rating, not great, but whatever. But he also ran the ball for 12 times and 72 yards and a touchdown. Now, I know the QBR wasn't great and the rating wasn't great, but that stat line right there, that's at least middle of the pack, especially the way the season going this year. The quarterbacks ain't just killing it, so that'll be middle of the pack, and that's definitely some playoff football if you have a good running game, which the Falcons do. Let's go back to the season stats. As you can see here, every single game, his stats go down. Arthur Smith is literally taking the ball out of his hands. He started off with the 33 attempts against the Saints, went down to 26 against the Rams, 20 against Seattle, 19 against Cleveland. The game against Tampa, they were kind of coming back, so he went back up to 25. But then he had 14 against San Francisco and 13 against Cincinnati. Arthur Smith is literally nah. We don't need you doing too much. Just run the offense and don't turn it over. And at this point, it's kind of frustrating to watch. When they win games, it's cool, it's fun. But when you're down 21 points to the Bengals at halftime, it's what are you doing? Why are you not throwing the ball more than 15 times with weapons like top 10 picks, Kyle Pitts and Drake London? It's getting frustrating to watch. And I understand they are a run-first team, but I don't think it's because they want to be. It's because they have to, because Mariota stinks. If I were Arthur Smith, I would give Ridder a shot, especially before the season ends. We have no idea what he can do. I understand that, but what's the worst that could happen? You throw him in for a few games, see what he has, and if he stinks, you go back to Mariota. Simple as that. And I understand that the Falcons are in the mix right now to win the division or even get a wild card spot. So I doubt this is going to happen right now unless Mariota gets injured or they lose a few back-to-back winnable games. And let's be fair, you have to look at these type of things through the coach's eyes as well. Mariota has won a few games and Smith is kind of looking like a genius right now because the Falcons have already won 3 games and they were projected to only win 2 games all year. If you put Ridder in and the team loses a bunch of games to end the season, Smith may be on the hot seat next year. If they go 8-9 or 9-8 with Mariota and they make the playoffs or barely miss it, he might just be getting an extension because, to be honest, this is not close to a playoff roster. And like I said, we don't know if Ridder is going to be a superstar or he could be a buzz. Who knows? But you got to find out. You don't want to go into next year's offseason not knowing what you have in Ridder. We know what Mariota's ceiling is, and it's not winning a Super Bowl. So what's the point? And Ridder may not have the highest ceiling either, but hey, we don't know. And you never know. He could provide a Lamar Jackson type of spark. and get them to the playoffs. I mean, look at guys like Jalen Hurts and freaking Bailey Zappi, like not the most talented guys, but they're making some noise. So my prediction is that Ridder is in by week 12, but due to a Mariota injury and not because he's being benched. And I won't make any speculation on what Ridder will be, but from what I saw in the preseason, I like his arm and his poise in the pocket. Hey man, thank you for tuning in to NFL Smoke. I'm finna start coming with more smoke every single day. Like, subscribe, comment, you know the deal, man. I'll see y'all next time.